Welcome back in. You have made it to, can you believe it, the last segment of our show. Lowcountry Money Talk. It flies by, at least from this side of the desk, because there's just so much to talk about. And Phil, of course, is here just really helping us navigate all of the different topics of money, specifically to your portfolio and what you need to be doing if you should be doing something, really taking a look. So, Phil, thanks for returning with us.
Thanks. Good to be here still.
You're walking us through what a meeting with you looks like. And we really talked about that first meeting so far, where you're gathering data, you're listening to what is potentially your client, sort of interviewing each other, if you will, on whether or not this is a good fit. So we've done that now, right?
Right.
What is our next move from there?
Well, with these days of these, what they call reality TV shows, I guess it's time for the reveal.
The reveal.
So the reveal is like, we gathered all the data. We pay thousands of dollars a year for these computer programs to solve these issues and bring them. So now I'm going to use some of that money to bring that technology to you and say, okay, you know, this is the analysis that was done by Morningstar concerning your holdings, your internal expenses and fees, your performance, which is really important. And if we have mutual funds or exchange traded funds, we undress them and it shows, okay, this is how much stock is in this fund, you know, this particular one or whatever. So now we have the full picture. And then we'll compare that to your benchmark, depending on, you know, your portfolio, what benchmark we use. If it's just a growth, then probably we're going to use the Standard & Poor's 500 or something like that. You know, say, this is what the benchmark's doing, this is what you're doing, here's your internal, external fees. Usually people are a little surprised.
Sticker shock, maybe?
To know how much they're paying. And then I'm like, here's your performance. And then here's what you said, that the Riskalyze, you know, Rachel will get that together and people call in for that, and she schedules them for Riskalyze and portfolio analysis and all that. But you told me you were a risk of, you only wanted 30% at risk, and that matches up with the way you answered the questions. But when I look at your Morningstar report, you're 50%. And that's why you're having stress.
Right.
When the market's doing all this stuff. So then also I'm going to come up and say, okay, these are my recommendations. Here's the strategies that we want to apply to your situation.
So two things that can really be shocking as you go through this process that I'm hearing. One is you may be surprised to know how many fees you're paying and some of the riskier areas that you're in that maybe you thought you were less risky or whatnot might not add up to where you think you are or want to be. Secondly, though, what you may discover in these meetings is that you may think that your portfolio is being managed, but really, is there a strategy in place? Do you have a manager? Is that manager actively taking a look at the market and making appropriate moves?
Right. So on the risk side, Jessa, of your portfolio, is that something we're just kind of, we buy a grouping of financial product or stocks or whatever we're doing, and we're just like, oh, we'll ride out the storm. You know, that's not really what I consider to be an actively managed portfolio, because even though the market's in we'd say a downturn somewhat, there's things in the market that are doing quite well.
Right.
So, of course, what we would want to do is we would want to shift. We want to shift from the things that aren't doing as well. Not saying that we would abandon them totally, but we would want more of the things that are trending up in an inflationary market, because there are several areas that are doing quite well during an inflation period. So we want to manage that. But if we're just holding what isn't doing well, that's going to be much more difficult to increase that return.
And if you're not actively really watching and taking a look at these things, you might be surprised to know that your financial advisor isn't really making these necessary moves and really managing what's there. We're going to wrap this up for folks because we've got to, because we're out of time. So let's do that. So right now, retirees, you're under some stress. There's really four major reasons, right, that are contributing to the big picture. So we've got inflation, We've got taxes to worry about, of course. The devaluation of the dollar is something we could probably dive into even more on
Yes,
another episode.
right.
And then we've got, of course, these fluctuating stocks.
Yeah,
And
I mean, we could be out 70% on our retirement dollar from these things. The things that we can work on, Wall Street, if Wall Street's taking 20% of our retirement dollar back in a bear market, maybe we can adjust how much we have in exposure to that. The tax picture, there's always opportunity to save money in taxes. So these are two of the things that we should be doing, and I'm going to add in one other, and that's reducing our fees on our investments. So all of those ways we could save money because our retirement dollar is being attacked right now.
absolutely.
And we've got to make it last, you know, because we don't have any more going in.
Right, right. So this might be the time for you to stop and give them a call and talk to Rachel, get your risk assessment, get your portfolio analysis, and don't forget to tune in for more Lowcountry Money Talk next time. Thanks, Phil.
All right, thanks.
And thank you. We'll see you next time.